Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Amusing Panda live stream, your musing and amusing home for all things War Machine. And today that is going to be many, many things as we are doing a small topic roundup. But let me start by, whoa, kitten, Jesus. Introducing our guests. So tonight I am joined by producer Keith and Cass to help run down a ton of topics. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good.
Hanging in there, trying to get this thing finalized up and all that jazz. But get on to important things like playing War Machine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, and you're still stuck in the Carolinas.
Yep. Well, same background I've had for the last
almost 3 months.
It's only been 2, but it feels like 3.
Yeah, and then when you get back up here, we just have to hit the game store.
When we get back up there, I'm going to sleep for a straight week.
Okay. And then we'll hit the game store.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, I just want to advise the stream, and I'll mention it again when we get into our main topics. Tonight is going to be heavy on audience participation. So I have a list that's taken from a mix of personal correspondences, private conversations, YouTube comments, and even solicitation of feedback from the Delaware Discord. But if you guys out there in audience land come up with anything compelling while we're going, we're gonna take a pause and read it out. But before we get into that, we have Grunky who wants to come over and
I was
say
going to
hi.
say, are kittens considered part of the audience?
Apparently. Oh my God. This one was chewing on my headphone connector. Great. I'm gonna have my hands full tonight. Yeah, so we're starting out with a little bit of news and announcements. There's some Fane and Nero stuff that's up for public order and so on and so forth. But we did get a new model release to the app this week in the Hellslinger Phantom. So let's take a look at the latest incarnation of the Fart Ghost. I do witty shenanigans, not relevance. Well, little one, half a dozen of the other, you know. Oh my goodness, these cats already. We're not even 5 minutes in, and already it's overwhelming. She just wants the headphone connector so bad. First impressions on the Hellslinger Phantom.
I mean, he is very similar to the Dark Host Phantom 1 with a few notable exceptions. The ability to keep incorporeal being an interesting ability, though there are a lot of magical weapons in the game at this point. The attack types: Banish, Phantom Seeker, Spirit Drain. Keith, open up Spirit Drain. I'm trying to remember which one Spirit Drain is. Spirit Drain was the -1 Fury, or reducing the amount of focus you can put on a check, which is interesting. But I think the main topic of discussion for this guy is quick draw.
Yeah.
As we were talking before the cast.
Yeah, quick draw. Well, I mean, I think I'd like to wind us back a little bit, which just to this guy's base stat line total. Defense 15, armor 12. The armor, whatever, but a lot of blast isn't magical. Incorporeal, rat 8, and then 2 range 12 POW 12s.
And he does have eyeless sight.
Yeah. One of the last hunt models, the solo, I can never remember whether it's Selena or Selena. Selena is the Nis Hunter. Oh, Jesus, cat.
That's the solo.
She's so sharp right now, and she just sunk her claws right into my neck flesh. Selena actually got a lot of credit on initial release for being a ranged business solo that's actually super worth it. for rate of fire 2, range 12 guns that we're going to connect consistently and reliably. And just like she does a couple of turns of work of plinking, before moving into more interesting plays. I feel like the Hellslinger Phantom might almost justify his cost just on being Rat 8 with 2 hand cannons. Am I off base there?
I would always pay 4 points for being Rat 8, 2 hand cannons, and he has the protection of Incorporeal if you put him in some place where he can abuse it.
Yep, absolutely. And he has Spirit Siphon to just take damage to maintain Incorporeal. My reading of this, and I could be wrong, is so you lose Incorporeal after making an attack.
Yep.
So if he wants to take both pistols and stay Incorporeal, he'll need to spend 2 hit points guaranteed. He can't spend it on the last one because he's already lost it. Is that right?
That's an interesting question. Because when makes an attack, it can suffer 1 damage to remaining corporeal. Yeah, it seems like that would be the case. That feels like that should be something that is in. If that's on help desk,
this guy's provoked a lot of rules questions.
Yeah, I bet.
But so quick draw, you said, is the main draw, and we're looking at once per turn when an enemy model within 12 inches of this model, so it's not the range of his ranged weapons, directly hits a friendly model within 3 inches of this model with a non-spray ranged attack. This model can make a ranged attack roll against the enemy model. If this attack roll hits, the enemy model's ranged attack, or the enemy ranged attack automatically misses. So I haven't checked the forums to see if this is right, but my read on this is you're just making the attack roll. You're not using your weapon. This is not an attack. It's just a check to see if it forces a miss. So he maintains Incorporeal because he's not making an attack. He doesn't pick a shot type. He doesn't do a damage roll. And he's not affected by range modifiers. This is just if you're within 12 inches of him and you shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true because it says ranged attack roll, which implies an attack. So it is a good question.
But why wouldn't it say makes a ranged attack at that point?
Yep.
Yeah. The question I have is this Holt's old rule?
It's very similar.
It might be.
Holt's old rule, I think, says within his weapons range, which happens to be 12.
12 inches. Yeah, and this is 12 inches.
Well, either way, I think there's a headache made for the Infernals team on the forums.
Oh, yeah, this model is great for doing that. It's a small thing to mention. It's probably not going to be super relevant, but with Nakane, in Necrofactorium, he does get the +3 armor because that says friendly, not friendly faction.
Right. Yeah, and he's also bringing his own banish attacks to the toolkit for her. So
yeah, I think he's a good fit over there.
Yeah. So you can do between her, I think it's D3+1. You can do your own, 4 to 6 inches of placing just for shooting targets. Also supplementing his, if we talk about his base stat total, it's just reason to bring this model. He also can ignore concealment and cover.
Concealment, cover, and stealth. All three in
because
one
he has
package.
Eyeless Sight and Phantom Seeker. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at him and I'm like, yes.
Once again,
I saw a bunch of people saying, I'm not sure how impactful this model is. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, especially a faction like Crix, for example, that this as a business solo, as a ranged business solo, feels good.
And it's an otherwise totally unfilled niche for them too. Yeah, man, this guy's hot.
Yeah,
the game is so good.
I would like to say I'm not a huge fan of Steamforge continuing to print models that ignore all of the rules. They just keep doing it, and I feel like they keep making the same mistakes. but you know, I don't know. I don't think he needs Phantom Seeker if he wants to keep Eyeless Sight. Like, there's plenty of good third shots. You know, Thunderbolt would be kind of interesting because that would allow you to either push or, well, I guess Banish allows you to move him one way or any direction, right? Not necessarily closer.
Yeah,
so.
Banish is the Thunderbolt shot here.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be Electro Leap, or it could be what's Kane's magic bullet, shot, like
Oh yeah,
Ricochet
like Ricochet or something.
or
Oh
something
my
like that.
gosh, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, all those would be, I mean, I guess maybe Ricochet would be too good. I guess that would
Actually,
turn into like 4 shots, but I mean,
I'm going to go the other way and say Phantom Seeker being on the previous Hellslinger. Okay, the Eyeless Sight is actually what shocked me.
yeah, especially because they got rid of it effectively for Kane, right? They removed it from actual Kane on a spell list, right?
They
But
didn't
they gave
remember
it
to
to
remove it
Ghost
from his
Kane.
ghost.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Cass, you're right. In Necrofactorum, this guy stands out as filling a niche that has not at all previously been filled. And it's a pseudo supplement to like the richness of shield guard protection that you have. Like, just another great way to defend.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask this when you were mentioning Silena, and I do remember, I don't remember, was it Chiraboga that was talking about Silena and how interesting she could really be when she gets released, and how she could, like you said, basically all she needs to do is every turn take 2 shots, and she's gonna like straight up mint points. Like, she's gonna well earn her points. But I don't really recall seeing her being put down in very many lists. At least none that I've really played against. I really noticed Silena. So, like, what happened? I guess, and I don't play the faction, so I don't really know.
She's
I'm not trying to.
in Kalis, which I would attribute that to. They have a lot of shooting technology there as one feature. So then it is the like, okay, how am I valuing my combat solos? What do I want my solos to do? Things like that. So points can start getting tight at that point.
Yeah, and pushback against this guy's utility I've seen mostly from Dusk players, in that, well, we already have the sniper team. Is this guy doing that much? Like, maybe not for you, but
yeah.
Who knows? He could have a bright future ahead of him in Reaper Covenant.
Yeah, especially if Reaper Covenant doesn't have that much range.
Yeah. Or if it already has a lot of incorporeal, like, just exacerbating that could be pretty hot.
That too.
Well, let's kick on from this guy to the first of our small topics. And just for anyone just joining us, this is a small topic roundup. We are grabbing miscellany. So if you guys out in audience land have any thoughts or ideas on something you'd like to hear us cover quickly, throw it in the chat. But the first of our small topics is actually revisiting an item of news from last week. Fane of Nero and the unlimited skill cap that Ashmail brings. So let's talk about this guy. Cass, you weren't on. Keith, you were on in the backstage. Give us your thoughts on Ashmail. And I'll just say the caveat of, like, thinking about this guy more. He's the first unlimited skill cap caster I've seen in a long time, and, like, obviously so. So, now that we've had a week to meditate on it, what do we make of this guy, and why did we spend hundreds of dollars to acquire Fane models?
I technically had started acquiring them before his rules dropped, and then when I saw his rules drop, I was like, I am validated. This is exactly the kind of caster that I want to be playing, and it is a direction that I really enjoy in terms of the rules. I love how much he deals with scenario, like, and how much it is called out on his card. I love you circling the undead thing. Is that just your general opinion of Undead previously, Kate?
No, it's what I know you like to play.
Oh yeah, I do love to play Undead. But yeah, I mean, and we were talking about before the cast, some of the tech that's been talked about for this guy as well is being like using the misdirect with the sirens, because of their ancient shroud. Like I think that's really clever technology. Keith, you were talking about the corrupt before.
Yeah, not really what I want to talk about. Honestly,
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
I feel like the corrupt is kind of the obvious thing, right? Like the most like, how am I going to win this game? Oh, well, I'm going to corrupt things, let my opponent kind of bait my opponent almost into taking things that I know that I'll be able to take right back, get in a scenario advantage, and maybe I'll be able to also like double score on top of that. And then it's pretty much a fait accompli. At that point, you win the game, right? Like that seems kind of like the obvious way to play Ashamel. The thing that really caught my attention last cast, while I was behind the scenes, is the fact, and to me, this is what gives him an unlimited skill cap. He has all of the movement, in a sense, kind of hidden movement in dissected essence. In the sense, he can effectively move your model off of a scenario point without even having to move it. But if you want to talk about positional games, which this really is, and kind of making an analogy to League of Legends, like the best characters, or a lot of times the best characters, the hardest ones to balance, are the ones that have some sort of movement shenanigans. This guy has 3 movement shenanigans. Like there is a lot.
He
You
has
want to talk
4
about
because he has 4 because he has Swift Hunter.
right? I mean, you want to talk about somebody. I mean, like if you can master the ability to use these 3 spells, it seems to me like you can remobilize your troops in a way that your opponent probably won't be able to match in most circumstances, right? And that kind of positional advantage in a game that's a very positional game at the higher levels is enough, I think, to edge out a victory, even without corrupt or his feet, you know what I mean, or maybe in conjunction with them, you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of
his daggers also have beat back.
Yeah, there's so much movement shenanigans in this one caster, and maybe he's trying to, you have to kind of maybe choose what you want to do. I think, does he have resourceful, or am I thinking of the other?
He has resourceful.
Yeah.
And you can take for that ranged weapon, you can take a 5-point Strigon that gives him snipe.
Yep. I was wondering why snipe was on a Strigon, and then I saw this model and I was like, yes.
Yeah, he can be Swift Huntering you and beating you back, and like he can just do everything, and he can crit ricochet into another beat back, and man, and never mind that this, like, he has admonition, which he can upkeep on himself for free. He can throw out pursuit also, which gets him a hunger point, and he can shadow shift if you got through the pursuit and the admonition.
Yes, the shadow shift on top of all this is just ridiculous. It's I
mean, once upon a time, I used to play a caster in Signar called Cray who had pursuit.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
Shenanigans that you can do with this spell in the right hands can really catch your opponent off guard. It's just.
Are you a Fane player now, buddy?
No, I can't afford to play Fane. I haven't even finished.
I must remain chaste.
No, it's not that. It's like the amount of the amount of cycles that it would take to paint a whole nother army. I haven't even finished painting the first army, and it's almost been a year now. It's like, how am I ever gonna get there? Maybe I could play it in a year or two once
Mhm.
once I've finished painting first army. Gravediggers.
Gravediggers.
Um,
Well, this seems like a caster that would be immensely difficult to play as a beginner. Like,
Oh
if
yeah.
the thing that was keeping you out of War Machine was the lack of Castlevania, and you hit the yes button and say, "I want to play Dracula," as like your first 6 months as a War Machine player, you're one listing Azra or Ashmael, you might have a hard time.
I agree. You might have a hard time. I think that High Scene, right, is a great.
Oh yeah, she's right there to catch you.
She's right there to catch you. She's like arms open.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just charge forward and cut people down? I'm here for you.
What do
Right.
you mean? I thought Steamforge was following their usual model of making forecasters that are the same, just like they do in Gravediggers.
Oh man, that probably could have been a topic on here. Although I have we started conversations to have the conversation on stream. We're gonna eventually do a collab with Nate Magnan from, why am I forgetting the name of his podcast? Well, anyways, we're gonna have a conversation on the hexproof problem and the introduction of novel mechanics and how it's affecting the shape of the game. But there is the flip side of like the spell rack had long-lasting impacts of making casters generic, and we're just starting to get out of that hangover.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I think you do mean because they had access to the spell rack, it made them generic.
They
Yeah,
were
yeah,
designed
just as a
more
design
generically.
philosophy.
All right, yeah. Okay, now I'm with you. I thought you meant it the opposite way. I thought you were saying because when they lost the spell rack, they became generic. I was like,
Well, when
that
they
doesn't-
lost the spell rack, they, it became apparent that most of their card was actually really premised on having diversity come from spell rack.
Right.
But let's kick on, since that's going to be a future conversation. Keith, why don't you take a first pick of the evening of our small topics? What's
I don't even
tickling
know
your
what
brain?
they are, honestly. I didn't take enough time to really look them over. I don't have a brain right now. My brain is,
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Cass, you seem to have more of a brain. Why don't you pick first one?
All right. So let's go with Revolt Against Your Brain.
Oh, Revolt Against Your Brain. Okay, so this was one that's like, I think I've said it multiple times on the show, but like the human animal, your brain is structured in certain ways. It's structured to look for certain things and want certain things, and some of those things are actually counterproductive. One of them is symmetry. I am a big fan of asymmetric deployments. I am a big fan of like, because you'll often see like, particularly in Dusk, like I've got a Dusk list. It's got 2 units of cats and 2 units of archers and 2 units of soulless guardians, and you watch your opponent deploy. And on the left side, it's 1 unit of cats and 1 unit of soulless guardians and 1 unit of archers. And then like one of the 2 warjacks is, and the opposite flank is 1 unit of cats, 1 unit of guardians, 1 unit of archers, and another warjack, and the casters somewhere in the middle is like, I understand wanting to have all your tools, but this actually like is probably not serving you. I don't know. What do you guys think about playing asymmetrically and the human desire for symmetry?
I think that it is a thing that one gets easily locked into and that is hard to break. Requires playing games and playing actually impactful, useful games. because I remember having played Convergence earlier in the year, and I started putting triple obstructor in most of my lists.
Mhm.
But the thing is I was running triple obstructor plus an Enigma Foundry, but I would put all of the obstructors one side.
Yep.
All of them, plus the Enigma Foundry. And I was like, well, I don't have to worry about anything over there anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm fighting two heavies and a unit of infantry. Here's 15 guys. Enjoy never doing anything of consequence on this side.
And then the rest of it was like, because at that time that was before the changeover for Negator, so all the Negators are together elsewhere. And it's just like these pieces that were like, okay, I want to keep everything in these chunks. And while it is asymmetrical, in my brain, I'm trying to fashion together. I mean, it's fashioning together the modules, but sometimes your modules are just hitting add,
Mhm.
and just putting it in one place. And like, wire your warjacks, because I see this sometimes, and it's people will be like, okay, I'm going to put my warjack, and this warjack is or this junior is going to go over here and is going to fight your infantry at 40s. That is not gonna work. That warjack needs to be fighting over these 50s because you're not doing as much as you think you are, because that model at the end of the day can't score. So you're breaking up your models. You need to be looking heavily at the scenario, because if you cling to symmetry, you are not playing to the terrain that most benefits you. Like, and because, in keeping this in mind, this problem in the brain of liking symmetry is something that everybody has as a human.
Yep.
Which means if
Yep.
your opponent does it and you chips in and don't do it, you can get an immense advantage.
Yep, absolutely. No, yeah. I mean, that used to be my the going dictum for Crucible Guard is trains together strong. Every time I played against a Crucible Guard player and I saw their two railless interceptors deploy on opposite sides of the army, I'm like, I'm probably going to win this game. Because it's a leading signal of, play skill that they've got the experiential data bank to break themselves of that instinct and do what's going to put maximum pressure downrange. Because for a lot of modules, putting them together, like they're doing the same thing. They're taxing your opponent's resources to kill them, and they're just really wiping out certain target profiles. And this gets better if you're like a battle engine and your ideal target profile is pretty much whatever. So oh my god, the cats hit my keyboard more while we were talking. Hey Keith, any thoughts on symmetry?
I can only tell you the
Also,
lamentation. Go ahead.
here's a question. So trains together strong, field guns together weak?
I'll get there, but that's going to be a topic for number 14.
Okay.
I can only tell you the lamentation of my enemies whenever I'm winning, which is, well, you're just going to collapse one side, and then you're going to win it, and you're going to push all your shit to the other side, and you're going to score out and win. And, and I was like, well, is that how you do it? And they're like, well, that's what the good players are doing. and if you watch some high level games, what you're going to see is that they're going to deploy asymmetrically. They're going to collapse one side. They're going to park the minimum required to basically secure that objective every turn for points, and they're going to push into the rest of the objectives in that one strategy. What is this that you're talking about, Stephen Williams? You said that you only had witty shenanigans, not advice.
My way is not very sportsmanlike.
But you'll see that that's basically what they're doing. They collapse a side. They park the force that can score it with the least amount of point commitment, and then they're going to go, force through the rest of the objectives, and they're going to score you out. And if they can collapse that side on turn 2, then there's no way the game's going to 7 rounds. They're going to win before that, right? Like, you know. So kind of to your point, symmetry is your enemy, but just because you create your list symmetrically does not necessarily mean that you need to deploy symmetrically, right?
Right.
Like you could
Yeah.
take 2 units of a lot of things or 2 of the same type of warjack, but kind of to Cass's point, if you're putting those 2 units, double stacking them on 40s and you're putting your 2 heavies, on the 50s, you know what I mean? That's not
Yeah.
symmetric, right?
Yeah.
And you're advantaging you're maximizing your opportunities to score those.
Right. And the scenario you're playing is not even symmetric. I mean, it may have one axis of symmetry like fault line or something like that, but like the 2 sets of 40s are not of equal value or equal defensibility. And like, yeah, 1 unit of cats and 1 unit of guardians and 1 unit of archers on a flank can like sort of fight anything, and 1 unit of cats can deck a heavy, but a colossal grinds the flank to a halt. 2 units of cats can kill a colossal, or 2 units of cats can eat a charge and still wipe out hard targets that came into them. 2 units of archers can totally deplete a flank of infantry in almost no time.
I think along with this, it's also important to note that you, whoever you are, as playing your army, knows after enough games what pieces you have that are points cheating, what is efficient. And that isn't just about a direct comparison across the board. But if you can use a quarter of your list to take up a third of the board, where your opponent has to put a third of their list there and you're still winning, that's how you win the game.
Right, because you're establishing asymmetric fights everywhere else.
Yep.
Unless you're feigning Nero.
Unless you're feigning Nero.
Unless you're feigning Nero. Yeah.
Well, Keith, you mentioned point 14. Is that where we want to go next?
That sounds like
we
it.
We can if you want.
All right. Well, this is something I think that competitive players get accused of rightly. A lot of my War Machine games feel like work. So how do you have fun at this game? Because sometimes I feel like I'm just slogging in the experience, like the XP points mines. And Keith, before the show, you've mentioned like if you're winning a game and you're doing well, your plays often feel procedural. Talk to us about that experience and how you break out of the procedural mold, because I think there's a coincidence between having fun and really learning.
Let me tell you something, Cosmo. This point number 14 is how to have fun at War Machine, not how to be boring at War Machine. So I'm not going to talk about that.
Look,
I'm going to talk about how to have fun at War Machine.
Boring as sin.
We're talking about how to have fun in War Machine. So how you have fun in War Machine is you take like Boom Boom and you put 2 field guns in your list, right? And then you pay the TO to stack you against opponents that bring all 120s, right? And then what you do is you wait for them to tell you that they know what your army does, and then you're like, yeah, I can hot swap fire for effect, and you just take 1 colossal off the table on turn 2, and then you just spend your entire game tabling their army and don't care that you're going to lose on scenario. That is fun. It allows your opponent gets to be salty at you the entire time. You get to take their entire army off the table. It's a lot of fun, and they get to feel good about it at the end of the day because they won. So everybody has fun. This is how you have fun at War Machine. It's like a lot of times I feel like, there are games that I win that I lose a lot of models, and it doesn't really bother me, but I feel like my opponent really has fun killing off my shit. And, that's fine. They had fun killing my stuff, and I had fun winning the game. And sometimes it's nice to return the favor where I get to kill their stuff and they get to win the game. I mean, it's the circle of life. I think it's great, can't
But
just
sometimes a smile is infectious.
yeah, it is what it is. So, do you have to win the game to have fun? I think I probably have more fun losing the game because I'm trying things out. I'm learning what my models do. I'm trying to push limits where I'm not sure where there are new ways. I'm trying different combinations. Do they work? Do they not work? Do they work in a different way than I expected them to work? You know what I mean? That to me is a lot of fun. And to certain people, like, they take a lot more value out of winning than I do. That's not to say that I don't enjoy winning, but it's a different kind of fun than just like, you know,
Hmm.
killing stuff in different ways. You know what I mean? And kind of like seeing if you can unlock the box, just by killing stuff and trying instead of just trying to push your way across the table. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think there's a connection point to the wins feeling procedural, because often you're executing on something that works. Like, oh, surprise, it worked again. But there's a German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer, who has sometimes been described as the chief philosopher of misery. Um, he wrote extensively about humor and the comedic in a way that is described as typically German or miserable and joyless, doing a very clinical dissection of what causes something to be funny. And one of his core elements of humor was when it is something unexpected. You want to laugh when you are confronted with something that is unexpected and absurd. And a game where you're winning by applying what works, and hey, guess what, it worked again, is sort of bereft of that, bereft of fun in the same way that it can be bereft of laughs. um but it doesn't have to be, because sometimes your opponent can just be like, yep, you got my number, here we are, now let's have a good time with some banter. But I think, like, the core of it is, a lot of games like that aren't exploratory. When you're in uncharted territory is when the game can really occur to the human animal as something quite fun. All right, does that track for you guys?
Tracks for
Mhm.
me, yeah.
Yeah, it tracks for me.
One
And I
of the
mean,
things
I-
I
yeah,
really
go ahead.
enjoyed about some people can win and really make you have a lot of fun losing. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about playing against a guy that we used to travel with a lot when we were in Raleigh, which was Liam. And Liam was going to beat you a lot of times, not all the time, but like he was the guy that was going to win most of the tournaments, if he showed up to him. But it was fun to play against him because, like, he knew what he was doing, and he was going to tell you a story along the way about what his troops were doing and what they were like. This guy's going to go over here and say hi to this guy, and we're just going to go off into this land and do this other thing, and he would tell you like this story, while he's murdering your stuff. And it was fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and some people are just gifted and can do that. I wish that I was able to do that, but, like, there's a lot of fun to that as well. And it's like like, I didn't ever feel like I knew I was going to lose to Liam, because I always tried to give him a good fight. But, like, you know I never minded losing to Liam because, like, he always kind of made it fun to lose against him if that was what was going to happen. So
Yeah, absolutely. Along with that, to say, for the Liam example specifically, I was apparently the person that had Liam's number.
yeah, well,
But that was always because I was like, well, it's time to push the bullshit button. And that
yes.
always caught Liam off guard when you press the bullshit button. Or at least for me, it did. It's like Liam knew everything under the sun, it felt like. And then it was like, well, I've got some bullshit. For fun, I think that for me, what I generally recommend for people who are not having fun within the game is identifying where they're not having fun. Like, so playing the game isn't fun. Okay. But why though? Is it just because you're losing a lot? Because if that's the case, then if you're losing a lot, I mean, it's sad to say that that is the reps, but to go along with it, you can get through that by playing lesser point level games. Maybe the point level isn't there yet, and that's where you need your fun at. It's gotten procedural. Okay, well, a few things about that. Depending on the events that you're going to, the question I would ask then is, are you actually playing a faction you're having fun with? Not a faction you're good at. A faction that actually sparks joy. What sparks joy out of the faction that you're playing? If you look at the faction and you're like, well, I know all this is good. Well, are you going to have fun with it? And like, one of the things that'll happen is I'll be in an event and I'll be down in the event and I'll be like, okay, I'm getting not exactly not having fun, but I'm getting very tired. So I'll be like, okay, well, how can I extract the most fun from this? You know what? I should be using power attacks more. How can I improve my situation with power attacks? And my side tangent to that is how I've been doing some list building recently, which was, well, I would put a wall in here, but instead of putting in a wall, I'm going to put in 2 bombs.
Oh, yeah. Go for some casks.
Go for some casks. Because I love having open fists frequently because of throws and things like that. So I'm like, okay, if I have some casks and I have some things with open fists, like I've been looking at that for Fane lists even right now, is the small bats have open fists.
Yep.
So
I was gonna say there's also, we're hitting the Ashmail unlimited skill cap again, because you can just like drop a bunch of powder casts and go, 4 dice crit attempts. Let's see if I blow up your infantry across 3 tries.
Yep. Bingo. I did think about that. Exactly. Yes. So I think that part of it is you need to figure out what is letting you have fun, and understanding that isn't always the same thing.
Right. Like an example may be like, okay, generally novelty is correlated with fun because we're talking about the unexpected and the absurd, but it may be like, particularly if you're newer, too many novel situations results in a feeling of, powerlessness or helplessness versus, being bogged down in the humdrum. They're essentially opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And like, also, are you not having fun round 3 of an event? Is that where you start not having fun? Because that could be a number of things. You could be growing tired. You could be overstimulated. Because what you may need to actually have fun,
cocaine,
is to just take a short break. Just take a very brief break. Have quiet, have change your temperature, like regulate, and then you may be like, okay, I feel better now. Also, if you're just not having fun in the moment, you can, especially depending on where you are, everybody wants to get good at the game, better at the game who's playing, but that doesn't mean that you can't talk to your opponent and like have a discussion with them. Like you can talk with your opponent, not that you're trying to distract them, but on your turn, you can talk with them, things like that, and you can socialize. And like that's part of one of the best parts of War Machine, especially at the end of a game, because you may be like, okay, well, what could I have done better? But maybe not what could I have done better, but just talking with your opponent about their list, what they were doing, stuff they were doing, especially if you don't know a lot about factions, because the thing you may not like is playing against that particular faction. I mean, yeah. Narrative events, fun.
Narrative events. Although I will say, like,
but
Jeff Easterwood, the single most enthusiastic man in War Machine, the most miserable and not having fun I've ever seen him was during a narrative event at Adepticon that had just gone absolutely sideways. So, your mileage may vary.
But yeah.
All right. Well, there was something in there that because I had another topic ready to go, but I think you tapped my brain with overstimulation. And I think there was a whole big discussion on the Delaware Discord about this. If you're not in the tried and true Delaware War Machine Discord, check it out. We have an Amusing Panda channel there where we solicited ideas for this small topic roundup, and one of the ones that generated the most discussion is having ADHD, OCD, or otherwise being, cast your term, neurospicy, and playing War Machine and staying on point in games. I guess I'll give you the lead off. Do you have strong thoughts and feelings on this one?
Me? Yeah, absolutely. I have diagnosed ADHD. I have diagnosed learning disabilities. Like, these are things that I all have, and it's things that I have to navigate when playing the game. And it's things I have to understand about myself when I am playing the game. So staying on point in game. Yeah, so I think one of the things I do to stay on point is a certain amount of practice ahead of time is helpful, but understanding what your own, like, you have the reps in, right? If you have reps in, you execute more quickly. If you execute more quickly, it's harder to get distracted from execution.
That's a great point.
Does that mean you get executed quicker, or?
Yes. Well, somebody's winning or losing quicker if you're moving quicker. Honestly, the are you properly watered, fed, and happy at this individual moment, either going to an event or between rounds, and making sure that you don't lose sight of that. Like, that is so critical in everything, but especially in War Machine tournaments where you can be standing, you're tiring yourself out and you're not realizing it. Your attention span is going. Like, these are all things that happen, and simple maintenance can be important. Yeah, it gives you, if you lose quicker, if you're executing quicker, then you're like doing better. Don't panic. That is one of the things that I've had to learn as the most important thing, because I really like playing with clock, but because of my ADHD historically, I have been horrible at clock, because I'll just get in the tank and my ADHD will just I'll lose focus. And the way I've ended up getting around that is just being able to build, how do I put this? Build a frame of mind that is, how do I end my turn as quickly as possible while not losing the game, or at least maintaining my position in the game? Because sometimes that's a calculation I have to make. How do I stay in this game? And it's like, I can look at a game and be like, this board state is so crazy. And it's like, all right, Cass, you just need to stay in the game. So yeah, also in list creation, you can do things in list creation for assisting you with your basically with your own ADHD. Because if you find something that is easier for you to manage than other things, put more of those things in your list. Put things that require less cycles. The less cycles you have to deal with, the more energy you're keeping.
Right. Yeah, there's a massive interconnectedness to all this because, like, we have on here like clock management, play space organization, um, preserving mental cycles, I think. And this also sort of touches on the clock management thing, like being able to find the right solution over an infinite time horizon and being able to find the right solution over a finite time scale. Like, one of these is more important than the other. I mean, even if it's a casual game, we ain't got the rest of our lives.
Bingo.
But like there's kind of, and part of the, I'm a little resistant to the term neurodivergent in this context, because what we're talking about is actually, like, in a game environment, you're essentially talking, like, when you're talking like coaching and development, you're actually talking agency questions, like questions of, your action and what actions there are to take. And like a language of therapeutics, or that reifies something like a diagnosis into a thing, is useful in some domains, but it's not necessarily the most useful here. Because whatever neural wiring you walk into, your game store, your tournament, your convention with, is your particular cross to bear. And, externalizing it sort of limits your ability to adapt to it. So, like, I'm also ADHD diagnosed. I've been, as it were, raw dogging life since I was a high schooler, because the ADHD medications also had a side effect of making me drool. And I'm like, well, if I have this in high school, I'm definitely going to kill myself. So I guess we just have ADHD now, boys. So, yeah, I think so. Like, for me, I've also had to be responsible for the way that my brain works in a game and keeping it on track. One of the things I do is, like, fidgeting helps. If you watch me during my opponent's turn, I'm taking my 10 dice, 2 of which are column dice and the rest are standard rolling dice, and, like, restacking them in different configurations, maybe even without looking, just to keep my hands busy so that my brain can be there for what's going on in the game. The other area where it definitely manifests is when you got to go into the tank to make a plan work. When you're in the tank, it's easy for 1,000 years to pass in the blink of an eye. So you got to have some reminder to snap back to every now and again. I'd actually built some reminders for myself, and I've sort of been on a process of, like, reintegrating or remanaging, my different coping strategies, because toward the end of the last competitive year, my strategies for managing tanking too long had actually started to become counterproductive. I was saying, like, F it, we ball way too fast, and not thinking through my turns. Like, I was hurrying myself in an unforced error. Hey, we got Mark in the chat. How's it going?
Hey.
Mark is one of my old locals from way back in the day, and helping with the revitalization of the Bay Area metagame. Great to see you in the chat, Mark. And for anyone who's just joining us, this is a small topics roundup. So if you've got a little item that's been buzzing around in your head, throw it up and we'll talk about it. Keith, do you have any thoughts on, like, gaming with ADHD, or, like, managing your own mental game?
I mean, I am the stabilizing force around me, usually.
Keith is all reliable. He's the guy bringing you a bottle of water and, like, like a little packet of Planters peanuts or whatever.
Well, I don't know that I would go that far, but I'm just, like, I don't think that I have any, I like, I don't want to tell people that like I can relate to these things, but I don't really have these tendencies as far as I know. So,
Then I have a secondary question for you.
well, before you
The,
get there,
okay,
I just wanted to
please.
say when you were talking about being watered up and everything before and during the matches, the only thing I could think of was, did we plan ahead of time enough to hit Starbucks on the way to the event? Because you know you're going to get lunch at some point, or most events, right? And then after you have lunch, you have like another round, and then like you just have to make it to dinner, right? So like,
Mhm.
you know, sometimes the morning coffee run is essential to staying watered, etc. And kind of like the other thing I was thinking about when Cass was talking about it in terms of playing things that kind of take less cycles, etc., like that. It. This is where like maybe just bringing your favorite mercenary model to the table with you, because like it's it's like 20 points, like a full 1/5 of your army, right? And it doesn't take nearly as long to activate as like a full unit does, right? With all of its attacks and all of its unit placements and all its leapfrogging, and it's one model to measure. It's like you don't have to worry about whether it's in formation or whatever. You move it up, it does its thing, and then you're done. And it takes a lot less cycles. And kind of like more to the point, in 2025, I was playing a lot of Jakes, and it didn't have a lot of models, right? Like the importance of the attacks were important, right? They're all high value attacks when you're stacking synergy, but it's like I'm bringing like 8 jacks, you know what I mean? And that's it, right? Like that's not a lot of models. Like you bring 3 units, right? And you've got as many models on the table as I do in my entire army, right? So like, you know, it's much easier to be ahead on time. You save a lot of cycles, you know what I mean? Kind of dealing with all that stuff, and you can kind of use your opponent's time to think about, you know, the counterplay, which is what I try to do. So, in any case, I apologize. What were you going to ask me now? If you
What
still
I was
remember.
going to ask you is if you had any difficulties, because I know that you have played speed chess a lot, especially growing up. Is there anything there that has translated over well to War Machine in terms of saving cycle?
I mean, it's kind of the same but different. Like, so chess is a great analogy for War Machine, and I think the things that translate to War Machine are, uh, in chess, it at a competitive level, you have you don't have factions like you have in War Machine, but you have openings, which kind of is like a faction, if you will, right? And
Mhm.
certain openings, or there's a certain groups of openings are pretty similar, right? And practicing those openings and allowing you to almost automatically play them saves you a lot of the time in the beginning of the game, so that you can spend it on the mid game play, and kind of also like practicing your end game. So in chess, you kind of practice the beginning of the game and you practice the
Mhm.
end of the game, and it's very difficult to practice the middle of the game, right? At the end of the game, like you need to know how to win with only little bits of material,
Right.
if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
if you get
You've
there,
you've
right?
got to know how to win the game as king pawn versus king, because if you don't know that, it's very easy for the king to force a stalemate if they do.
Right. Yeah. Well, and similarly in War Machine, like you don't need a lot of time to operate turn 6 and 7 if there's like 3 solos on the board and your caster, and similarly your opponent has like a warjack and their caster or something like that. Like that doesn't take you, 30 minutes to do a turn, right?
Mhm.
But turn 3 and 4 probably will take you 30 minutes. So like mastering how, like having a particular list that you use often, and really understanding how your units move, how to deploy them, how to get them done very quickly. You really kind of, if you can get your first 2 turns done in under 10 minutes, it's very important. Like, in terms of having enough time to actually play the middle game, because if you don't have enough time to play the middle game, you're just not going to make it to the end game. You're going to clock yourself. So,
Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm gonna bring up the comment here from Nick. People laugh, but quick meditation helps me tournament day. There's a really great book, and like something I've been mentioning obliquely, for the past year or so is like starting up War Machine Book Club again. There's a really great book called The Art of Learning by Josh Waitzkin. If you've ever seen In Search of Bobby Fischer, it's by the kid that movie's about. And it's his journey from being a young chess prodigy to dropping out of the game and like total love death of chess to emerging as the double world champion of competitive Tai Chi. And sort of the skill set he develops over the course of his life to generate performance. One of them is meditation, another is, and like regardless of what your diagnosis is, if your body's not taken care of, your mind ain't gonna take care of itself either. So like meditation, food, water, routines to turn on your brain and put it in the zone as it were at a moment's notice. I've actually, and like it's a journey of personal discovery, untapping this for your own play and performance. I've learned a couple of things for myself. One of which is I do pretty well actually if I have some level of mild physical privation. Like if I have something that's like not my brain just being like perfectly sedated, I am well fed, I am well rested, we are just going to turn off because there's no danger here, just like a little bit of evolutionary like danger signaling, like you're slightly underfed or something like that. Don't eat more than a light lunch just so the calorie deficit keeps you sharp. That's not for everyone, it's just something I've discovered for myself. Another is, especially at high stakes important tournaments, game's over, I'm gone, I'm just leaving. Maybe I'll have like a chit chat with somebody or whatever, but like I ain't watching games, I ain't putting in any more mental resource than I absolutely need to. And often what I'm doing is resetting my trigger point by like going and listening to like a few minutes before the next round, specific pieces of music I know bring me back into the zone.
I love that.
Yeah. One Punch Man theme from season 1, super great for restoring focus, I find. Yeah, any other thoughts on gaming while neurodivergent and maintaining the edge?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I think we nailed the big one. And for those of you out there like watching and listening, if this hasn't spoken to you yet, definitely throw something in that Delaware Discord or DM me, and we'll maybe take another look at this one because it's generated a ton of discussion, and I think it's worth going into. I guess we'll go back to switching up the oh, what do we got here? For someone who didn't play in Mark III at all, after playing Mark II heavily and getting back in during Mark IV, is it me or is the game not as synergistic as previous versions? Oh man, I have so
All right, I'm going to do my take. Well, there's only a couple of synergy casters now, so I agree with you there. Sorry, I had to say it.
Mark, can you? What factions were you playing in Mark II?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, but it has been a long time since I played Mark.
The other question I kind of have for this is, what do you mean by synergy? Are you talking about like buff stacking? Like Crix used to be like, all right, well, I'm going to get plus -2 armor from, Dark Shroud, and then I'm going to, I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
get
stack Parasite on
and
there.
Parasite, and then there's what was the other one that they were pretty ubiquitously in the faction?
Oh, search me. I don't even remember anymore.
You used to
Scything
get
Touch.
Scything touches,
Well,
but
Scything
there's
Touch is Dark
Dark
Shroud.
Shroud. Yeah, you
Well,
used to get plus.
back in Mark
Back
II,
in
it
the
used
day,
to
it
give
wasn't.
Yeah.
+2 POW and corrosion to your melee
Yeah, it
attack.
did. It did. Okay. Mostly minions and circle.
What I'd say, like, Keith, you mentioned buff stacking. I would say the game has gotten less buff intensive than it used to be. So, like, cap out, and that was one thing I noticed immediately on Mark IV versus Mark III, is like cap out buffable, reliable armor values were significantly lower than they used to be. You used to see armies spam to like armor 22, and like armor 22 or higher is relatively rare and it's relatively single target. And, likewise, you know, uh, compounding damage buffs are also relatively rare. Playing Chimera now, and it's just not flowing the way I remembered it. Well, you are playing the faction that stacks the most damage buffs right now, so I mean, maybe that's a testament to the extremity of it backing off. I don't know. What do you think, Cass?
So, if it has to do with interlocking synergy of pieces, you mentioned minions and circle war factions here playing. So what has cut down on is, I would say, some of the I think the term has been used on this cast as dynamos, were very different large interlocking pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of like, well, I have to be aware of these things locking together, because if they do, if I have two sets of shifting stones, I can send something way downtown. Um, uh, so in terms of it coming synergistically, I think what you're also finding, probably, I'm guessing, is there's a lot smaller model count, so there's less redundancy of piece.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no like perfect synergy thing. A lot more things have to be self-reliant.
Right. I think something that's actually reinforcing that is that the scenarios are now significantly wider than they used to be. So you can't necessarily count on like a core 60 to 80 point like buff package running the center of the table when the pieces that want to benefit from it have to be way out on the flanks and there's less of them. So, it does force you to lean into like what I've called, rather than explicit synergy, leaning into implicit synergy or positional play.
Yeah, so solos having a lot of buffs and things like that. I think that also has to do with the model size being smaller.
Mm-hmm. And lethality drop, and just a lot of veteran leader going the way of the dodo.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, let me bring up Shadow Flame.
This is gonna sound mean, but I kind of think also part of the way PP marketed back then was they'd be like, okay, well, we're gonna make this unit, and if you want to make them a little spicier, you can take this solo. And if you want to make them even more spicy, you can take this other solo. And if if you want to make them even more spicy, you can, take this warjack or whatever with it, or you know what I mean? Like you could take like, the pirate crew, and then if you wanted, you could take the gunners, and you could take, the guy that gives them coins, or, you could take the guy that gives them whatever, and like all of a sudden you have this like wombo thing of a whole force that may or may not have worked real well, but it was air quotes synergistic, right? Like they all worked well together on paper. And so it kind of, once you're kind of bought into the pirate package, you kind of kept wanting to buy into the pirate package, right? Like, and it was like, you were incentivized to do it, right? But to do it, you had to keep investing more into the pirates, even if that isn't necessarily, what you should do, right?
Mhm.
Hmm. I think the other thing for solos in Shadowflame is that a lot of them are standalones, or they're just a direct, like, this mostly helps, like the Paragon and the Scion. The Scion is gonna do Scion things and have puppet strings, right? Or I don't even think that's what it's called anymore. It's Puppet Master. Puppet Master.
Yeah.
You're gonna have Puppet Master, and Wraithwing Paragon is gonna have Warping Winds, and those are your, like, big, but nothing is really helping the units there. Everything that you're contributing after that is like, it's a little solo. It's kind of doing its own thing. You have some combat solos, but it's not. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I agree with you that there aren't theme lists anymore, because it's almost like they went away with that for the entire army is basically a more I don't want to say the word generic, but it's a more open theme.
Look,
Like,
I don't know what you're talking about. I can take an Assault Strider, and I can take Boom Boom, and it synergizes. It's a theme force.
oh my gosh. But yeah, I agree with you, because like the theme force lists, like, if, like, because even look at legacy armies at this point, something like Dark Host, right? You got Banes. They're their own army.
HFG. Am I dumb? What is HFG?
I bet Cass knows though.
HFG. My brain is clicking. My brain is clicking and turning over. It's some. Is it Flame Guard?
Heavy field
Heavy
gun.
field
though.
Field
gun.
gun.
I
Heavy
should
field
know.
gun. You should know. Oh my gosh. Heavy
I can't even.
HFG, I would have been right there.
Yeah, I can't even share with you my lyrical song about 80 mils. It's just bad.
Uh,
I think I shared it with Cosmo at one point, and maybe even Cass.
I don't
Anyways.
think it's been shared with me.
Oh, yeah, it probably has. You're just that bad. You wanted to forget it.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So that's my thought as to why things seem less synergistic.
It starts out. I like big bases.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
figured it
remember
was
now.
someone
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
See?
yeah. I remember now. I blocked it out, and now I remember.
See, I told you. I told you.
Yep, absolutely.
we've got the biggest bases of them all.
It didn't
I know
quite
it's
go
a
like
different
that.
song, but it's on
It
brand.
is. Okay, sorry, I totally got derailed there. I
Name the list like
I
the
think
big
to really get
bases.
more to the point on this, sorry,
Oh, yeah, I totally cut you off. Go for it,
it's
Keith.
fine. To really get more to the point on this, to be honest with you, the end of Mark II was all theme forces, right? And then even
Mhm.
into Mark III was theme forces. So like I
There,
kind of
there
feel
was
like
there was a glorious year and a half of freedom, and then they came back.
right, and I think kind of like Mark IV, like Cass said, is kind of like, well, all of the forces are now kind of theme forces, right? And there's also like, well, we just did theme forces for the last however many years, so like we're kind of maybe trying to get away from that a little bit, and you know, I don't think that's a bad thing, but to your point, there could be a little bit more internal synergy, you know what I mean, with particular models, right? Without having to go full theme force mode. And I think that that could be a good design space to kind of lean back into, because there's certainly a part of the brain that wants to do those synergistic things, in the
Mhm.
same way that it wants to look for symmetry, right? And it may not be the right thing to do, but it's a fun thing to do.
I think one of the issues with the as one of the reasons, and I don't know this, I can't, I haven't talked to SFG about this, but I think part of the thing about the current game design as well is they're trying to go a trend of modern game design, and they're trying to simplify things a little bit in terms of like theme forces. Theme forces are an added level of complexity that is just a whole nother, like, well, you have this army and it gives this specific benefit, and it's got, because that was the other thing when I was checking my Mark II books recently, was just like looking at the theme forces, and it's like, oh yeah, you assume that this is a normal rule, but it's not. It's only in this theme force that this unit even has this rule, or this solo even has this rule.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a whole added layer of complexity.
Yeah. You know, there's I'm almost tempted to think back on like the conversation I had with Brandon a few weeks ago, or the conversation I had with Max last week, about this sort of know thyself and know when a faction isn't right for you. You know, if that's a highly desirable element in your game experience, if it is, you know, one of those fantasies or experiences that leads to fun and enjoyment in a way that keeps you coming back, you know, it is worth looking at what maximizes that, if for no other reason than to keep yourself engaged and do the Marie Kondo, this one sparks joy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a segue here into net decking versus the drive to be original. And I have here sort of a point from the Max episode about the knife teaches the hand to cut, but what I think there actually is you know, to return to the endless well of Magic the Gathering analogies. You know, Magic the Gathering put out like their player archetypes years ago. There was like Johnny, Timmy, Spike. And then they've added other ones since then, but you know, the core dynamic really does get you the picture. Timmy is the play big stuffs guy. You know, he wants big creatures smashing other big creatures. He's the old ancient Kador analogy of axe to face guy. You know, and then Spike is the whatever wins is what's fun. Winning is fun. Let's play what wins. Johnny, which I think is, you know, loads and loads of Magic players, like most Commander players, will probably self-identify as Johnnies. And I think it's one of actually those psychological profiles for which War Machine is the most appealing, is the combo players. The players who use deck construction or list construction as a means of self-expression and an outlet for like scratching an itch, you know, that typically doesn't get scratched otherwise, an opportunity to demonstrate originality. And you know, I think I've often said I don't think this is not a game for Johnnies. I think this is a great game for Johnnies and they can have a ton of fun, but I have said in the past that War Machine looks like a combo game but is implicitly a positional game. You know, more of your synergies are going to be like that result in wins are going to be positional rather than explicit, this combos with this. You know, and maybe like, you know, this is like, where are you on your journey between apprentice, journeyman, and master? One of the transitions for me in my career, and you know, sort of how I can have a bit of position blindness myself, and speaking, you know, from a position not everyone who's seeking advice finds themselves in, is I had to make a major graduation from Johnny to Spike to level up in my competitive career. You know, and I sort of had to, you know, rebuke that part of myself that needed to have like the experience of being original in play as a creative outlet, and go to like, no, your creativity comes in the expression of your positioning and your mastery. So I don't know what I was just monologuing for a minute. What do you guys think about that?
Okay, so along the same guidelines, and using the same thing. I will use an additional archetype because the thing that primarily got me into Mark IV was being a Vorthos.
Oh, really? Yeah. The theme and the aesthetics.
I ended up playing Convergence for the funniest reason, which was I got into it when it was the only place I could play Gatsby.
Mm-hmm. And then that
Uh,
got yanked right away from you.
taken straight away from me. Yeah. But in terms of like originality versus so I have an issue in net decking, but it is not because I want to be original, right? If I want to do well, I am typically taking pieces that I understand how they operate together to
Mhm.
execute the game plan I want to play. Which may not be the most successful game plan, but if I don't understand how a game plan works to begin with, then it's not going to help me to be net decking. I mean, if it's straightforward, sure, you can understand straightforward, but yeah, that's kind of where I sit in terms of that interpretation because I know what I like. And while that can change, it is like, okay, I typically like again, leaning on this analogy a lot. I typically like leaning on control quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And in a positional game, you know. So that is what I have the tendency to like, but it's just about me understanding the lists. But I think that there's a benefit to playing those net decking lists, especially if you can understand what's going on. And the things that you are changing to be original are the things that make it more comfortable for you to play,
Right.
not building from the ground up. Because it's
Like
harder. It's harder
yeah,
to build from the ground up.
yeah, it's like it's very phase specific, you know, because what works at the start for you may not be what works for you in the long run. And you know, you'll the knife teaches the hand to cut, but you may you know, you may take like a knife, like a net deck, like if you're in the frustration point of feeling like you don't have agency in the game or getting overwhelmed by feelings of powerlessness, some of it may be the army list, and you can go with known patterns of success, you know, as a tool to teach you how to get to where you want to be, to the point where you can like start to self-express. And you know, tweaking around the edges of a known working paradigm is no less self-expressive than doing it from the ground up. You know, in fact, it's showing an engagement with your tools to the point where you're making real serious qualitative judgments about what you're using and refining, you know, into an instrument that's more perfect. Um,
Keith?
Well, Professor Cosma, I can only tell you what I heard from a wise man, which is to say that when you are a beginner, the river is a river and the sun is the sun. And when you are a journeyman or in the middle of your journey, the river is no longer a river and the sun is no longer a sun. And then when you become a master, the river is once again a river and the sun is once again the sun. And I say a very long winded thing to say that net decking will give you immediate success at playing War Machine or Magic or anything that has a similar analogy. But to a certain extent, you will hit a plateau as you really begin to get your journey going. And
mhm,
the things that you thought you knew or understood about the net deck or the process or whatever it is, you have to kind of destroy them and really kind of like investigate these things. And it really sends you kind of like on a journey where nothing works anymore. Like the things you thought you knew, you don't know. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until finally, as you are ending your kind of journeyman phase and going into mastery, you understand why and how all these things really work, not what kind of your preconceived notions are of how they work, right? And so everything kind of reforms kind of in the same way, but in a kind of completely different way to where you really understand how these things can be maximized. Not in games where you would have net decked the same list as a beginner, you can now go into matches that you would have lost, you know what I mean, and still pull out victories that you know what I mean, wouldn't, because you understand how you can utilize these pieces in ways that were not foreseen by your, earlier endeavors, if that makes sense. So
Hmm.
there's kind of like a process. Like I think there's a value in net decking in the beginning to kind of like get your feet wet,
Yeah.
get yourself excited about the game. There's a value as you kind of journey deeper into the game of taking individual modules, doing different things, going away from the net decking to really have a deeper grasp and understanding of the gameplay, how everything really fits together and works, especially in your faction or the factions that you discover that you want to really play. And then kind of like you want to get back to kind of the net decking thing because you don't really want to spend your cycles on learning how the pieces work anymore.
Right.
You want somebody else to kind of spend those cycles, and when you see it on the table you have a very visceral understanding of, okay, I can use this way, and if things go sideways I can use them that way, and okay, this makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of diversity here that I wouldn't have really grasped as a
Hmm.
beginner, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
um, so it's kind of like the cycle of life, or a very good cycle. There's a lot of value in net decking on both ends, and kind of not net decking in the middle, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And I mean, I love what you said in that, past a certain level, net decking is actually a method to outsource, cognitive capacity. There's like three sort of terms or ways of expressing that. Oh, can you give me the screen share?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know it would. I thought you could just remove
Everyone
mine. Yeah.
everyone has seen this meme in one format or another to the point where
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't even need text. The dumb guy and the smart guy on both ends of the bell curve are saying the same thing, and the guy in the middle is saying a different thing. Um, there's another way of expressing this, that's referred to as Wittgenstein's ladder. So the early 20th century Austrian German philosopher of logic and language, Ludwig Wittgenstein, opened one of his tracts with this preface. My propositions serve as elucidations in the following way. Anyone who understands me eventually recognizes them as nonsensical when he has used them as steps to climb beyond them. He must, so to speak, throw away the ladder after he has climbed it. He must transcend these propositions, and then he will see the world aright. There's another American philosopher, Ken Wilber, who described this as the pre-trans fallacy, meaning like in a pre-rational position, before you've thought about something, it looks one way. And then you apply rationality to it, and it looks the opposite. And then you apply transcendent reasoning or transcend reasoning, through the application of wisdom and much experience, and you rise even beyond the rational position and return to something that looks very much like the original position. Like net decking is gonna be there with you, the whole way. And to a certain extent, this meme is like apprentice journeyman master sort of territory. The pre-trans rationality dynamic is going to describe a lot of your competitive career, and how you relate to net decking will transform over time. So that was a major philosophical digression.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything on net decking?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, let's see. See that Warcaster over there. I don't want to see it anymore. Man, that's a small topic that like I could maybe rant about for a minute, which is prestige wins in War Machine. And like it's a little bit bell curvy too, because when you start out and you're new, you're probably not going to win the long war of position. Your opponent probably is going to beat you on scenario, but a lot of your early wins show up as assassinations. And there's a tendency for newer players to often identify themselves as assassination players, but that's because that's where they get their W's. You know, and I've observed it crop up from time to time in players who are past the new stage saying, I'm an assassination player, but it seems to mostly be because it's prestigious, because most people don't really assassinate. And you don't really hear the assassination specialists brag about it much. They mostly keep that stuff to themselves because they know the art of getting your opponent to give you the kill is actually really sophisticated, and the less that's said about it, the higher its success rate.
Yes.
Are you saying it's like a spy master never goes around saying that he's a spy?
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, there's a lot more cycles that go into it in terms of you're doing and moving your army completely differently than somebody actually trying to win via scenario or honestly attrition, like when you're trying to attrition your opponent out, things like that.
Yeah. Well, and the secret of, you know, assassinating somebody is faking it real good and trying to make it look like you're attritioning. Like,
knowing where your opponent is going to land. Yep.
Yeah. Like, well, you can kill this piece, but it's going to cost you 2 extra focus to do a hunter's mark. Yeah, you can take these scenario points, but you have to stand 3 inches closer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, and if they decline, you know, the real secret of assassins is they can just turn into scenario wins. Like, oh, you declined the opportunity to kill yourself. Well, let me just turn around and ride up on CPs.
Mm-hmm.
Dragorium Knight PFG, I can only reply to your comment here with a similarly wise person's comment.
It's Keith from the top rope with your own petard. Oh man. All right. Well, you guys got any of the other small topics that look compelling to you? I know I threw us into net decking off of Mark's topic.
I am interested in what Cass has to say about place-based organizations, sticks, tokens, and dice. And I have a particular reason for being interested in this, particularly from Cass. But I'm not going to share that reason right now. I just want to hear what Cass has to say.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So Keith is saying, I'm going to put you on blast in a minute.
I know, right? So my opinion on dice and all of an organization space. So I'm gonna start at a funny place. Now I have a one of the sets, right? I have one of the sets with all the sticks and everything like that. And setting up my play space with that.
Do they go into a little holder, or are they held together with rubber bands? And 45 minutes into a game, you can never find your 8-inch stick. Okay, good.
Yeah. This guy. So I have that, but for tokens, I come to every tournament with a gift that was the perfect Christmas gift for me, which was a label maker.
Mm.
So I make labels at the table for all of my and my opponent's effects. So I can keep track of them. So I just have my little label maker and I just program it, and I get to use it on my phone because it just connects with my phone, and then just print out the labels. Oh, it's this army, this label, this label, this label, right? And I just throw the stuff away at the end. And while that is not as it's useful for me in that I have what I need on the spot. Like I'll print some out ahead of time. And I know at the
Mhm.
beginning of the tournament, Keith will ask me, like, okay, I need these labels. And I'll print them out at the beginning of the tournament. Um, for dice, if I remember, this is the hardest thing to remember. I love using a cup. I love using a dice cup. Typically,
Oh
and
no. Oh no.
I like using a dice cup. Although I will use a thing if I have it, but it's
Wait,
like I don't want.
are you betting years of service on the Flying Dutchman on your on your model's attack rolls?
What do you mean?
Pirates dice? Pirates of the Caribbean 2?
Oh yeah, I know. Am I betting on that for why I use a dice cup?
No, no, is that the simulation? Like
Oh,
if this attack misses 5 more years in Davy Jones' service.
absolutely, absolutely. 5 more years, and like I use it, and um, I am certainly one of those players who is not superstitious about dice. Like that's not me. I like they like that being said, I do like using like Keith uses backgammon dice, which is amazing. But like I use dice that I trust. uh but Keith, what did you want to say about what I had to say?
First, I want to, before I do that, I wanted to address this.
Uh-huh.
Um, I would recommend that you reach out on Etsy, is what I have done, to find good gaming things. While I love Broken Egg's quality of the thing that they produce, it takes them half of a year practically to get it to you.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating for me because I want my things like, you know, in a couple of weeks, And that thing that Cass showed you, the Cass has her sticks and everything in,
Mm-hmm.
like that's from Etsy. And it's so good. And I just worked with the creator. I said, look, I need this thing, can you do it? And they're like, sure. So I mean, I just worked with them and they gave me a price, and actually Cass got a better deal on hers than I did. Um, but hey, whatever. It's the
Mm-hmm.
price you pay.
Mhm.
But they want to make things and sell them. Yeah, sell them to you. And there's a lot of competition, so like the prices are going to be pretty good overall. Um, Kind of to what Cass was saying, I was actually just curious because we had spent quite a bit of money on the some of the organizational tools that we have at our disposal now, including
Mm-hmm.
the sticks. And I'll tell you, from my perspective, not wasting clock files trying to figure out what I did with my 11-inch stick and my 7-inch stick and my whatever, because I have a tray to put them back into after I use them,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
is massive for my clock. For my time saving, because like on my turn I use them, I put them everywhere, and then on my opponent's turn I put them all back into my tray. That way, when it's my turn again, I've got them available where I can find them. And it saves me, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, trying to not have to look for them, and it's a huge time saver for me. The other great thing that I think, especially with the pre-measuring, I have uh, I don't. I think his name is Dave Galea. A long time ago, Dave Galea came by, and there was during
Oh,
COVID, and we
the
were playing some.
Aussie.
No, maybe it's not Dave Galea. Whoever Circle Dave is
Yeah,
in
Circle
Raleigh.
Dave.
Yeah. And he came by and we were playing a game of War Machine and he was like, I have all this neoprene that I just got for free for objective markers and things. Here, just to have them. And so I have like all these neoprene 40 and 50 millimeter, objective markers. Um, and so like I just use them for everything. Like, oh, your guy can charges 14. Cool. Here's a neoprene marker. Boom. Just things like that, putting them down very clear where you can make it with your stuff and I can park right outside of it and it's never contentious, right? Like, you know, I'm just outside. It's clear, right? Like, and that's one of the things I like. It really ends up saving a lot of time for both players, so you can move through the game
Mhm.
a little bit easier.
I do want to add one thing to the list of organizational tools that may not be obvious. And it's technically not an organizational tool. But if all of you, before going to the tournament, grab blue sticky tack,
Oh, sure.
that will help your cycle so much throughout the entire event, because the amount of times that I have used blue sticky tack on models that have fallen apart, on not scenario, but terrain that is, y'all know, the terrain situation can get crazy for models being able to
Right.
stay on. And if you're just like,
This foam hill weighs like 3/4 of a gnat's tiny leg.
yep, like that blue sticky tack is huge. I also, with it, also always make sure I have extra large dice so that I can make little towers to also navigate terrain.
Yeah, man, that's a great idea. I think my Lockabash brothers are going to wind up leaving snail trails for the rest of the year of just like sticky tack because they weigh like I joke with people, the photons from your eyes touching these models is enough to move them out of base to base contact. The dice thing is important too. This is just a basic neuroscience thing. Use dice with pips. Do not use dice with numbers, especially if you're looking at clock management. Numbers are a symbol. They require your brain engaging like language centers and decoding lexicography. Like it's actually markedly more cognitive action to use numbers than pips, because like counting things is something your brain is doing in the background automatically.
Yep.
Just from a neuroscience perspective, pip dice are faster. Doesn't matter if they're faction themed. Doesn't matter if they're they match your paint job. Find pips.
Find pips.
I was gonna not think that that's where you were going. For me, like numbered dice, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, 6, are very difficult to read if there's any kind of crazy stuff going on in the background of the dice, like if you've got
like if they're the
granite
scoring dice?
colored, yeah, or like what I mean, multiple, like the worst ones for me were the faction dice that they put out in Mark II. I could not read them
the
at
Q
all. It was
Workshop
like,
ones.
yeah,
They're
they looked
legendary
great
for unreadable.
Yeah, they looked great and they were amazing, like for the faction, but like across the table, you could tell me you rolled 6 every time. I'd have to believe you because like I just can't see the stuff. Yeah.
The only Q Workshop die I use is my Iron Gauntlet pewter die, and I only use that for starting roll. After that, it goes in the tray. This is not usable. Bring them up on screen. They're my go-to. I can just make up what they say. Oh yeah, the Q Workshop Kador dice. Well, yeah, because they're using that pseudo Cyrillic script, like you said earlier. The 2 and the 5 are like dealer's choice. It's Broggin's feet for the middle of the bell curve every turn. Regarding tokens, I think. So I personally will never use a broken egg token set. They're very thematic. They're very attractive. Part of the problem though is they're like clearly something that's designed by designers to look good on a screen. But in real life, those intricate full art things like get really hard to parse at like 3 to 4 feet away. And like even you as the player using them will struggle. I still use the old Mark II like Scorn tokens, like the red acrylic ones. I've used them so long, like all the art and imprints is worn off, and they're just little acrylic discs that I write things on. So very much like your label maker. I think that's a great system. Another one is
yeah, and for things like disruption, I'll do things like put an image on it because I have just a list of images, and I'll just put a lightning bolt. So you don't even need to look at the word. You can be like, oh yeah, I remember that's lightning bolt.
Another great one is a friend of the show, Mario Aruda, runs Centurion Tactics, where he makes custom tokens, and they're like sticker inserts on little like plastic tokens. They are fantastic. If I weren't like a creature of habit and locked in on my old privateer tokens, I would be using Mario's because they prioritize readability, which is one of the biggest weakness of Broken Egg. Like it's words in clear legible font that's like made to stand out at a distance, and it even has smart reminder text like cost for spells. Another note on tokens, I die inside every time I see somebody cast a spell and they open like their little tackle box or medication dispenser and they're fishing around between piles trying to find an effect. If you have a pre-made token set, you know what 2 lists you're going to play. So put those in your carrying thing and take all the rest of your sweet looking tokens and leave them in a plastic baggie at home. They do nothing but waste your time and disrupt your cognitive flow from trying to play the game.
But Cosma, I already do that, and I still fish in them because my casters have so many spells, and they're all in the same little box. So you still have to fish around for it once it's in there.
Pre-game ritual. I like even with my old like Scorn token diskettes, I take before the game. I write down every effect I need and take them out and put them next to some of my other play aids and just like grab and go, and when they're done they come back to their spot.
Look, Cosmo, I don't know about your pre-game ritual, but I got to go to Starbucks so I can get coffee to snort before the game. So I'm all hyped up on caffeine and everything.
Man, that's another, like, this goes back to the meditation thing. Like, have a pre-game ritual as like a last second trigger. And like, yeah, the round timer is ticking, but like, even if your opponent's in a rush, don't rush yourself until you're really ready to play this game. Like, be conscientious, use the time well, etc. But like, don't leave yourself in a position where you're scrambling for the physical things you need to play the game before you're ready. You tap that clock on, like, you should be prepared to be on clock, and that means having your stuff ready.
Look, Cosma, you've got to learn the professional art of cheating in this game, okay? The way you do it is on turn 1, and you're running your army forward and casting all your upkeeps out there. You just tell your opponent, look, I'll put these out once I hit my clock over, and then you put the upkeeps on where you want them after you've already moved your stuff. And it's cool. You're just good, That's how you win at War Machine.
Oh my gosh.
Not only do I not endorse this,
Keith doesn't even endorse this.
I will endorse somebody giving Keith a light smack just for suggesting it on air.
Oh my gosh. Endorsing someone, that means the person you're endorsing is me.
Well, we're not
just give him a bop. Here. Every time you see it, just bop him.
I have to get my recommended daily allowance of punches in every tournament. So.
Oh man, just as an aside, like moving out west was like really revealing for like East Coast isms and stuff like that. Because I did most of my growing up in Northern Virginia, basically like the neck of the woods you guys are in. And I've maintained some of my East Coast isms. It was really remarkable.
I need to step out here and correct you, Cosmo. Virginia is a southern state. We live in Maryland. That was a border state, pretty close to, being a northern state. We are on completely different sides of the war here.
Okay.
Keith,
Okay.
Keith, calm down.
I've been bottled up for the last almost 2 hours now. I can only contain myself for so long.
Even though I was born in California, in my heart of hearts, I still consider myself a Southerner. Not necessarily with all the implications of that, but if you ask me, Virginia is still home. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, East Coast isms. Some of them stand right out the second you leave the context of the East Coast. Shotgun goes out the window. The game doesn't exist out west. What is it? Cool Beans is a dead giveaway that you're from somewhere in the Mid-Atlantic. Like there's so many micro things that are like dead tell, like East Coast isms.
You telling me there's no shotguns out west?
Shotgun is not a cultural institution out here.
I see.
Cosme, you need to come back to NorCal. I need someone to play with regularly. Are you not hitting the the if you're in the NorCal area, Santa Clara, Redwood City, Games of Berkeley, there's some North Bay / Concord-ish area games that happen, but that was sort of after my time. Mark, I will definitely hit you up next time I'm in the area. Let's see. What do you guys want to pick? One last small topic to take us home?
It's obviously got to be Murado Crew. We got to get something. Get you riled up about something.
Oh my god, I've ranted so much. I think I've already given part of my Marauder Crew spiel. Let's skip that one.
I only picked it because I knew you didn't want to talk about it.
That was the last resort in case we ran out of things to talk about, and I just needed to have my 5 minutes of hate or whatever.
All right. So flags snapping to nothing.
Okay, so I watch people get, because there's a bunch of, and this is sort of peripherally adjoined to Pressure Point, which is like actually a good scenario. And I had the stats here to go into. Pressure Point is actually one of the most even scenarios in terms of first, second favorability. It's actually super balanced. A bunch of people freak out about it like it's not, but actually low key, it's like, it's just that this scenario is a pain in the ass for TOs to set 10 tables of. But there is a paranoia about there's not terrain for this flag to snap to. And, TOs will get called. Have you ever played a game where a flag snapped to nothing? Where there was no terrain available?
It just turns into kind of like an objective almost,
yeah.
right? Like,
yeah. It's fine. It actually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It turns out the places that flags are supposed to be on these scenarios are actually kind of perfect, and moving them onto terrain is often what distorts your game. If the flag snaps to nothing, it's fine. It's a-okay.
I will say I want my flag to snap to nothing, and I want my opponent's flag to snap as close to the edge of the table as possible. So,
sure. Well, that's because you're Mr. Commando.
Yeah, Mr. Commando.
I try not to do that at tournaments, though.
Who's gonna know?
Everybody now.
Yeah, show up to a tournament at Bazooka Games. Yep, Keith is definitely wearing underwear today. All right, Cass, how about you? Have you ever had a flag snap to nothing, and what was your experience with it?
I mean, yeah, I've had a flag snap to nothing, but it's not a thing. It's not like it's gonna play like a flag plays. Like it's just gonna be okay. Now it's within 3 inches, and
yep,
yeah, that's it. It's
I'm looking it up now because I almost like I half remember that that does it become an obstruction?
I don't think you can move through it.
Well, you can't stand on it just like
No,
any other
you
objective.
can't stand on it. Of course not.
Oh, okay. So if no valid terrain piece exists, leave the flag at the location specified in the scenario. The flag itself becomes an obstruction scenario terrain piece. So it does become a 30-millimeter base that grants cover, which is actually like kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I guess if it becomes an obstruction, you can't pass through it either. Yeah, so it just becomes the world's tiniest building. It's fine. It's fine. Don't get your panties in a twist if you don't have anything for the flag to snap to. And maybe don't get so worked up over pressure point.
I mean, you might not be able to move through it, but this guy can.
That's true. But also I will say I do have a bit of like my brain has been boggity bombed over the last like 7 months. Like where I look at like, you know, I'm watching like teammates or something in a strategic situation. I'm like, why don't you just move through that terrain piece or move through that model? Like, oh wait, not everyone has ghostly. Ugh, brother. Ugh.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Having played tons of Banes and preferring to play models with flight. I feel you.
Remind me what your favorite spell in the game is, Cass?
My favorite spell?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite spell? Are you going to say Ghost Walk? It's always a positive when I see Ghost Walk.
Yeah.
Always positive.
You know, I think I'm right there with you. I fell in love with that spell, and like even before I got boggity bombed, I spent a year and a half playing Shadow Tongue, and like, yeah, Ghost Walk's pretty sweet. And then before that, you know, I was playing in freaking Mark III, Gaston 2. You know what? Like the only support spell he has is Ghost Walk.
Ghost Walk.
It's amazing. It's so good. It's unreal. Yeah, dude, this is a game of position. Do not underrate the ability to just be able to go where you want to. It's so nice.
Or threaten, like, do not, like, you cannot overstate how powerful it is to be behind a complete obstruction and be able to walk through it. There's no, like, your opponent has to think about that when looking at the obstruction because it is good for you and just bad for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's fantastic. Like how many times like I have a speed 8 king that I can manufacture, and there's a central obstruction and the central quicksand, and your colossal is going to turn itself into knots to play the threat range game. My king is just going to walk up to that house like this is the perfect hidey hole until I turn spoopy and kill you. Yeah, yep. Super worth it. All right. Well, I reckon we're on the wind down for time. I don't necessarily want to jump into anything else, although I may come back to this army representation among top 100 players at some point.
Yeah.
Guys, it has been a blast to have you on, and it has been a blast to do a small topic roundup, because I think these are the kind of things we often don't get to talk about because they're not necessarily like a 2-hour subject. So I would love to do one of these again in the future. And if you're in the audience, keep the suggestions coming, because I think we'll reassemble this crew at some point and do another big batch of roundups. Cass and Keith, any final thoughts for you guys?
My final thought is I'm hoping Keith comes back up here this weekend and we can get back to our War Machine schedule.
Our regularly scheduled War Machine
events.
I mean, I think Keith is hoping to come back up there at some point this year.
I do love it down here, but I don't want to work 12 hours a day forever either. So,
Yeah.
except for on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, I get to work like 15 hours a day.
Thank you, Keith. Love you, buddy. Mark, please do shoot them to us either in the Delaware Discord or DM me, and we'll add them to the list. All right, and I guess that's it for this week. Keith, take us away.